In this video,
1. You will learn the difference between longitude and latitude. 2. You will know how to calculate the difference between longitude and latitude. 3. You will know how to calculate distance step by step. 4. Stick until the end to learn tricks on how to solve tasks on Earth Geometry Paper 1.
So welcome everyone. So in this video we're going to look at Earth geometry, basically paper 1 questions. So this question came in 2025. So it's saying the diagram shows the position of 3 towns A, B and C on the FC surface. So this is our diagram. So I know most of you have no idea on Earth geometry, but let me simplify it. So there are basically few things which you need to know under Earth geometry. So the first thing you need to know is, what does this diagram represent? Yeah. So this diagram, you can see that it has 2 lines. So I'll basically draw 2 lines, 2 diagrams. So the first diagram, I'll draw these long lines. Then in the second diagram, I'll draw these short lines. So these lines which you are seeing here are known as longitude. And these lines are known as latitude. So this is the first thing which you need to know when you just look at Earth geometry. What are longitudes and latitudes? Yeah. So I want to explain in details what longitude and latitudes are, but I'll just tell you that longitude, whenever you see them in paper 1, are what? Long lines. And longitude, they will always have either north or longitude will always have west or east. So as you can see in the diagram, the longitude basically starts from here up to where? Here, and but these longitudes keep moving where? East and west. So whenever you see in the question we have 2 figures, let's say 50 degrees west and 50 degrees what? East. So whenever you see west and east, whatever should come into your mind is longitudes. These are lines which run from north to south. They have what? West and east. Then since longitude have west and east, meaning our latitude will have which side? North and south. So whenever you see 60 degrees north, 60 degrees south, just remember that these are latitude lines which run from west to east. So these are the 2 basic things which we need to understand when we look at Earth geometry. So now the question is, how can you calculate time the difference between latitude and longitude. So I'll be basically going step by step. So the first thing which you need to understand is how you can now calculate the difference between what? Longitude and latitude. So when we're talking about the difference between longitude and latitude, we represent it with this symbol. So this symbol means the difference between longitude or latitude. Yeah. So here I need to explain a bit more. So what do we mean? So for example, they can give you to find the difference between these two longitude. We say that whenever it has west, it's what? Longitude. So they say find the difference between 50 degrees west and 80 degrees what? East. So whenever we are calculating the differences, just remember two principles. The first one is if you have two different sides, you add the two. So since we have west and east, we are going to add them. So 80 plus 50 is what? 130. Then if you have the same side, let's say if it wasn't 50 and 80, but it was 50 degrees west and 50 degrees what? Let's say 80 degrees west. So meaning if you have the same sides, it can either be east, you are supposed to subtract. So same side you subtract, different sides you add. Yeah. So now that I've talked about how you can add and subtract latitudes and longitude, so whatever I've explained here also applies to latitude. Whenever you have the same side, south, you subtract. Whenever you have different sides, north and south, you add the differences. So now moving on to our first question. What is the time difference between what? B and C. So the first step to calculating the time difference is what I'm from saying. You have to calculate the difference in longitude. So remember, whenever you hear a question on time, you should remember two things. Whenever you hear a question on time, you need to remember two things. The first thing you need to remember is 15 degrees is equals to 1 hour. So this is the first thing which you need to know when you hear the word time. Why? Because this is the conversion you are going to use to convert from degrees to what? To hours. Because our earth geometry is in degrees and we need to change it to hours. So this is the conversion we use. 15 degrees is equals to 1 hour. Then the second thing you need to understand on time difference is that time difference is always, I repeat, always have to do with the longitude. So whenever you hear the word time, just forget about the latitude. Only focus on longitude. So these are the two principles which you need to understand for you to calculate a time question in paper 1. So now going back to our question. What is the time difference between B and C? So for us to calculate the time difference between B and C, we are going to look at the diagram. I showed you that these lines are what are known as the longitude. Then these are latitude. So since our question is asking us for the time, we are going to ignore the what? The latitude. We are going to focus only on the what? Longitude, these long lines. So now the first step, you need to identify the points or the coordinates for what? B and C. Yeah. So after identifying the coordinates, the latitudes for B and C, you are going to write them. So let's identify them together. So B and C. So when we go to B, I said these lines are known as the latitude. So we are going to move up and here where we have 40 degrees west. I told you whenever you hear west or east, those are longitude. So we have B 40 degrees west and C. We are going to go again where C is. We are going to move up and we are going to find that C is 65 degrees what? East. So meaning these are our coordinates which we are going to use to calculate the difference between the longitude. I told you the first step to calculating the difference in time, you have to calculate first the difference in longitude. So the first step is calculate what? Difference in longitude. Yeah. Then second, you need to calculate the difference now in time. Yeah. So after calculating the difference in longitude, you move on to calculate the difference in time. So I will show you step by step how you can move from calculating difference in longitude into calculating the difference in time. Yeah. So now after finding your longitude, we said that if we have two different sides, we are going to what? We are going to add for us to find the difference in longitude. So now you say difference in longitude is equals to 40 plus 65. So if you add 40 plus 65, you are going to get 105 degrees as our difference in longitude. So now after finding the difference in longitude, we are going to move on now to calculate the difference in time. So when we are calculating the difference in time, that's where now this second principle comes in. 15 degrees is equals to 1 hour. So we are going to say we know that 15 degrees is equals to 1 hour. Now how about 105 degrees is equals to how many hours? Then here you close multiply, your 15x should be equal to 105. Then you divide by 15, you divide by 15. You find that x is equals to 7 hours as our time difference between B and C. So again I repeat, you cannot calculate the time difference without calculating the what? The difference in longitude. So starts from here, then here. This question is 2 marks. So moving on to our second question, which is saying a plane flying due south from A to B at 900 knots takes 7 hours. Find the difference in latitude between A and B. So again, this question is asking us now to calculate the difference in latitude. Remember, in our first question we have known how we can solve the difference in longitude, and I told you that the formula is the same. So you are going to say what points are they looking for. So it's A and B. So you go to the diagram, you see where A is. This time we are not looking for these long lines, but we are looking for the smaller lines known as the latitude. Yeah. So we have A here, then we have B. But our question is saying difference in latitude between A and B. But our challenge is for us to use this formula, we have to have both the what? The latitude. But in this question, we don't have both the latitude, but we only have one latitude. So meaning this formula won't work. But remember, in our question you have been given two values, 900 which is the speed and 7 hours which is the time. So we are going to use these two coordinates or these two values to calculate now the what? The difference between A and B. So how are we going to calculate it? So step 1, we are going to find the distance. Why are we finding the distance? Because when you are looking at distance, there is another principle or another formula which you need to know for you to pass each and every question in FE Geometry paper 1. Distance is equals to difference in latitude or longitude multiplied by 60. So this is the formula which we are going to use for us to calculate the difference in latitude. Yeah. Why are we using this formula? Because we don't have the other latitude. But this formula directly will calculate what? The difference. Yeah. So you say our formula for speed is equals to distance over time. So remember, this is the paper 1, no calculators. So here 900 knots always goes with the hours. So when you have knots and hours, no need of converting the time, just go direct. So you say our speed is 900, then our distance is the one which we're calculating, then our time is 7. So you have distance is equals to 900 times 7. Yeah. So remember, this is paper 1. Do not multiply. I repeat, do not multiply. So the skill they test in paper 1 is simplification. That's why you don't see a lot of questions on simplify. Because each question requires you to simplify. Because how can you solve a question without using a calculator? So you have to simplify it. So now that we have solved our distance, we are going to use now this formula which we say distance is equals to the difference in latitude multiplied by 60. So now we'll say our distance is 900 times 7, which is equals to theta times 60. Then here since we are calculating this, we divide by 60. We divide by 60. Yeah. Then we have our difference in latitude to be. So now here is how the trick works. So if you multiplied, it could have taken you time, but look how we are going to solve it in less than 30 seconds. So step 1, you divide 10 into 60 and 90. Then you say 3 into 6, it's 2. 3 into 9, it's 3. Then you say 2 into 2 is 1. 2 into 30 is what? 15. So our difference in latitude is 15 times 7. Then here now you can multiply to find your answer to be 105 degrees as your difference in latitude. So be sure to subscribe for more. So this is where the video ends.